In this chapter, I'll cover how to create a cascading text animation. Now, what do I mean by cascading? If you have the exercise files, go ahead and open O3 Cascade Final from the Comps Finished folder. I'll run preview. With this style of animation, instead of just one character at a time typing on, a number of characters are transitioning on at the same time. We call this a cascade. I'd open the second file, Cascade Final 2, and you'll see a variation. The top line is animating on from left to right, and the bottom line is animating on in a random order, just like we saw in the previous movie. This tends to look a little more interesting. I'll return to the first composition. Now, before I create this cascading animation, I want you to understand the ingredients that make up the recipe. That way you'll be better able to customize any of the animation presets that come from Adobe. If I select the layer and press UU, I can see all the parameters that were changed from the default settings. Again, I have a text animator, and in this case the end parameter was set to 33%. Notice there are two keyframes for offset. The first keyframe for offset is set to -33%. Now, I'll explain the significance of this later. But the second keyframe is always set to 100% offset. Another ingredient is that the shape pop-up in the advanced section is always set to ramp up. And finally, no matter what properties you add to a text animator, you always have to make the characters invisible to create a transition. Now, we saw earlier that adding opacity and setting it to a value of 0% was the easiest way to do that. So to create a cascading animation, you need to work with offset, shape, and add opacity.